The most recent financial statements for Burnaby Co. are shown here. Assets and costs are proportional to sales. Debt and equity are not. Burnaby maintains a constant 30% dividend payout ratio. No external equity financing is possible. What is the internal growth rate? So the internal growth rate formula that we use, found on our formula sheet, is return on assets times retention rate over 1 minus return on assets times retention rate. So our internal growth rate is equal to return on assets times retention rate. 1 minus ROA times R. Right, whereas ROA is equal to return on assets and R is your retention rate. So, the easy one. If all of the money that the profit, if 30% of all profit is paid out, that means we retain 70%. So whatever we're going to keep in the company is our retention rate. Our return on assets, on the other hand, is more difficult. Our return on assets is our net income divided by our total assets. So our ROA is equal to our net income divided by our total assets. Our net income is $22.62. Our total assets is $39,150. And so that gives us a return on assets of 0.0578 or 5.78%. With that, we can solve for our internal growth rate. So internal growth rate is equal to 0.0578 times 0.7 divided by 1 minus 0.0578 times 0.7. Which is 0.041 divided by 0.960 or 0.043 or 4.3%. So what does that mean to have an internal growth rate of 4.3%? What that means is the company can grow 4.3% per year without financing or issuing new equity. part 2, the company in the previous problem, what is the sustainable growth rate? So let's discuss the difference between internal growth rate and sustainable growth rate. Internal growth rate is the amount a company can grow, so the growth rate available assuming no new debt or equity. In layman's terms, it means that the company is not going to issue shares to pay for something, and they're not going to get a bank loan to pay for something. Whereas the sustainable growth rate is the growth rate available assuming the debt to equity ratio remains the same. So basically, a company can grow as long as it doesn't take on more debt than it has historically in comparison to its equity. Okay, so the sustainable growth rate is equal to ROE times R, 1 minus ROE times R. So what is our ROE? We'll use this formula right here, our return on equity. Our return on equity equals net income divided by total equity. So ROE, our return on equity, equals net income divided by total equity. Our net income being $22.62 and our total equity being $21,650. .45%. So we can grow, the company can grow 10.45% per year with increasing its financing only up to the same debt to equity ratio that it's maintained the previous year. So we would always expect this to be higher than the internal growth rate. The internal growth rate is the most conservative rate you can have, which in this case was 4.3%. But if we have the ability to take on some financing, you can grow to 10.45%.